Hi, I'm taking a break from munching on some delicious candy corn to bring you this thought. I was scrolling a little bit of TikTok. I'm done now. It lasted me about 5 minutes because I wasn't really enjoying it as much as I sometimes do today. One thing I noticed was a man who was sharing that he was having a hard time with intrusive thoughts. And he was commenting that he constantly has to fight off intrusive thoughts. And I just wanted to talk about how energy works. Now, I understand that when we're running a program, when we're traumatized, when we're in survival, it's really hard to feel how energy is working. But if you can imagine a time when you were doing something and you lost all track of time, you were just in the flow state, doing what you love and enjoying it. And remember how free that feels. Like there's nothing like pressing on you like a deadline or an expectation or an attachment to an outcome. You're just literally flowing through, letting energy flow through you, and usually probably creating something or doing something you enjoy very much, right? And now think about if you're late for work. Think about how that feels in your body, about how you really don't want to be late and you're resisting this lateness because you know that it's either going to get you in trouble or it's just not ideal. It doesn't make you look responsible. You know, there could be consequences to it, or others can't depend on you when you're late and things like that. So it doesn't feel good. And you resist it because you don't want to be late. And that feels a lot more tense in your body, right? It's a much different feeling than when you're in that flow state doing what you love. So the reason why I'm bringing these two instances into your remembrance is so that you can realize what I mean when I say energy that is resisted causes us discomfort. It's actually the resistance that is the discomfort. If we are going to be late and we just accept it, and we just say, hey, well, I'm going to be late. I'm late anyway. Let me just take my time and not rush and not do anything silly in this traffic. Maybe I'll even stop for a coffee. I'm late anyway. And you just accept it fully, right? Now you can feel that that tension just leaves you because you're no longer resisting what is. When you resist what is, that makes you feel uncomfortable because you're actually trying to resist an energy that already exists, that's already got momentum. Now, I'm not saying that it's inappropriate to resist the momentum of trying to attack somebody or hit somebody, or if you have some sort of improper vitriol about to come out of your mouth that you wouldn't put effort towards stopping yourself. I'm not saying that that's wrong, okay? I think it's entirely appropriate to put these kind of forces and resistance in place when it comes to hurting yourself or another. But on a general basis, on a much more general basis, when we want to heal these things, if you want to heal your inclination to clap back at somebody else, first, you're going to have to stop resisting that feeling that you are feeling when you go to project it onto somebody else. Like what you're trying to do is pass along the pain that you're feeling when you attack somebody, right? And instead of acting in it, you just make a decision to be with it. Okay? So that would have to happen in your own, with your own free will. You have to use your free will to decide to change a pattern like that. But I want to talk about this example of just intrusive thoughts for a moment. So if we think about the way energy works, which is what we resist, it doesn't feel good. But not only that, what we resist also persists. meaning it never stops because we're resisting it. We're actually holding it back. It's like if you were to build a dam in a river. It's like that water is constantly pushing on that dam, and it's persisting. It's not going to just decide to go the other direction because we put a dam up, right? What we resist persists, and it feels uncomfortable while we do it. So if we're having intrusive thoughts, can we not resist them? Can we surrender to the thought and be the witness of it? Meaning we're not going to act on it. We're not going to push it away. We're not going to fight against it. We're not going to beat ourselves up over it. We're simply going to be the witness and be present with this intrusive thought. Now, I think this man was even talking about his intrusive thought was something along the lines of he's going to stab his own hand or something. It's like, okay, you look at that thought, like if the thought that I'm going to stab my own hand. If you want to dig into it and find out why you keep having these intrusive thoughts, you can't do that until you accept them first, right? You have to acknowledge that they're there. Now you're going to want to try to figure out why they're there. You've acknowledged that they're there. Now you want to try to figure out why they're there so you can accept that it's there. So maybe you would use that question that I've talked about before in some of my videos that came from a video that Teal Swan put out years ago on how to find a core belief. And it's the question, what would be so bad about that? So as an example, let's say my intrusive thought says I'm going to stab my own hand. What would be so bad about that? Well, it would hurt. And what would be so bad about that if I hurt? What would be so bad about it if I hurt? The pain would make me cry. And what would be so bad about it if I cry? Well, everyone would call me a pussy. Everyone would think that I was lesser. I would get made fun of. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere, you can see. And what would be so bad about it if if somebody thought lesser of me because I cried? Then I would feel like I was alone. I would be isolated. And what would be so bad about it if I was isolated? I wouldn't be able to get my needs met in life. I would die. Okay. So now we see the root cause of the intrusive thought is I might die. And it really does kind of tie right into the thought of I'm going to stab my own hand. Right? Because you could die if you hit an artery or something, right? So if you have a fear of dying, then you have to be with the part of yourself that is in that fear, right? Be present with that part of you that is in fear of that. Completely sit with it, be with it, meditate on it. Know that you will not act in it, that you are the witness to it, and that you're the present, loving nature that is willing to be with it. And once you're the person who can love yourself, even though you're in fear of dying, then this particular energy doesn't have to keep trying to get your attention through intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are obviously trying to get your attention, and I understand that they're uncomfortable and you may be afraid of them, and that could be just because you are in the habit of acting on your thoughts. But you can also make your habit to watch your thoughts. Instead of acting on thoughts, you can watch them. You can be the one who's willing to be present with them and accepting of them, and to love yourself despite them, and be willing not to act on them. Thoughts are not things that we have to act on. When we are unconscious, when we are running a program, when we are not observing our thoughts, we do tend to act on our thoughts. But we have the capability of watching our thoughts, of being the witness, of stepping back to look at the part of us who is thinking that. We have a dual nature, we have a dual consciousness that we can take control over. This is using your higher mind to heal and alleviate these burdens of the lower mind who is in fear, who is programmed in fear and lack, and who is trying to get your attention regarding it. Those lower-minded ways of thinking and feeling in fear are never going to come up with a solution. They're never going to solve the issue. You have to step out and be in the witness, the observer of those thoughts, and be present with them without resistance, full acceptance for self. This will integrate, and you won't need to have that energy looping in to get your attention again and again with intrusive thoughts anymore. So, the way that I'm explaining this is strictly on the premise of how energy works. I can feel energy, I can sense energy, and we talked about those examples of when you can feel and sense energy too. So, give it a try. Make sure you're in a safe space, and make sure that you're prepared to not act on any thoughts that could put you in danger or someone else in danger. Okay, let me know how it goes.